Hey everybody, have you considered starting a podcast? We here at Screwball highly recommend Podbean for getting your podcast out to a larger audience. Podbean has given us the ability to easily bring you Screwball each and every week on all of your favorite podcast services. Use the link podbean.com/screwball to sign up and save up to 35% annually. You can also use the link podbean.com/pro/screwball to sign up for a business subscription. Happy podcasting. Hey everybody, welcome back to Screwball, a baseball podcast, your home for everything baseball. I'm your host, Mike Lepre, here with my co-host, Frank White.
Hey, how's it going?
We have finally made it to episode 70, All-Star Week of the 2021 baseball season. We are recording this episode on Monday, the night of the Home Run Derby. We're recording it prior to the Home Run Derby, so we're going to offer some of our predictions here. And we're going to offer some predictions and kind of thoughts on the All-Star Game. Obviously, this is going to go up post Home Run Derby and All-Star Game, so just want to preface a lot of the stuff we're going to say with we haven't seen anything yet. We're just going to offer our predictions and see how right we are. But to change up a little for this episode, for the sake of what our topic is going to be, let's lead off instead of with the topic. We're going to lead off with our number one piece of news, and that is the MLB Amateur Draft. The 2021 MLB Amateur Draft kicked off with the first pick by the Pittsburgh Pirates being catcher Henry Davis from Louisville. Henry Davis hit .370 with a .482 on base, a .663 slugging this season, with 15 home runs and 7 more walks than he had strikeouts. Jack Leiter ended up actually being drafted second overall by the Rangers after much hype surrounding his draft chances. So I have the first 2 picks of the draft. Frank has the first 5, so he can give you the other 3 guys that followed Jack Leiter in the draft.
Yeah, you had, I believe it was Detroit, took Jackson Jobe, the third pick. The Red Sox took Marcelo Mayer, who most believe that were probably the best player in the draft. And the Orioles took Colton Cowser. The Orioles have been doing a plan that the Astros used, actually, when they were rebuilding, to draft somebody for money slot or money allotted players, where like a certain player you could pick and you don't have to sign them for as much money. It's like a weirder thing.
Oh, yeah,
which would save money for you to draft someone higher later. And just to give you a case in point for that, the Astros did that. They got Correa, and then by getting Correa, they were able to get Lance McCullers.
Oh, okay.
By doing this strategy.
Right, yeah.
So you can get 2 higher guys instead of getting like that one, like that real big one. Get like the first player and like the 10th player. You can get like the 4th player and like the 7th player.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Where it's okay. So
that makes sense.
What the Orioles are doing. So not a bad pick for them though.
No, yeah, they've got a nice farm system building up, and they actually, even though their record really doesn't reflect it, they have some nice talent on the team with Ryan Mountcastle, Mullins.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they have Adley Rutschman kind of waiting in the wing. They have Trey Mancini's having a great year. So I mean, they have some talent. It's just they'll put it back together at some point. So then, actually, before we go into our other piece of news, let's hit our topic of conversation today, and it centers around obviously, the All-Star Game and kind of the All-Star Week, and what we're seeing in the recent days here and leading up to the All-Star Game is that we see a higher level of players actually opting out of the All-Star Game. Now, in the past, it's no stranger to the All-Star Game in baseball that players get hurt, or if they have kind of a nagging little injury that not necessarily put them on the IL, they kind of just take the days off for rest. So it's no, different thing for All-Stars to be out of the game, but it's weirder this year that they're just straight up opting out. And like usual, Frank brings our topic, so I'll kind of let him kind of lead off and give more context around that, because I don't know the exact players that have opted out, because sometimes there's just a flurry of them at once. So I don't know if you have any like players in mind that opted out that you kind of questioned, or I know there's in particular the ones that I kind of turned my eye to were the Astros, but that more in my mind just made sense from of the thing of they were going to probably get booed. And like you said to me, the clubhouse thing, them being in the clubhouse with all the other guys. So there's a little bit more of a storyline there, but there are a lot of guys opting out of the All-Star Game. So I don't know what you're kind of thinking with this.
I just think that this year there's been more players to just say, no, I'm not playing. Than just like, hey, I'm hurt, or hey, I want this, or whatever. It's just, hey, I'm not playing this year. Okay, you've seen Mookie Betts, Correa, Altuve, Molina. Molina is an older guy, so maybe, but possibility of maybe his last All-Star game. He's not, he's opted out.
Mm.
So there's a lot of guys who are just opting out, which I think is weird.
I agree.
Which is just not. I feel like if you're gonna opt out, then when the voting first started, you should be like, hey, well, I get voted in, I'm probably not playing. Like I'm not gonna be there.
Mm.
So this way you could take them like, oh, that's fine, take them off the ballot. So people aren't using their vote or wasting their vote for a guy who's not gonna play. Like yeah, you get it. Like oh, we want the best players there, or the best guys, and the players they don't want to say that because they want their All-Star game to go on their accolades and to go on their career numbers. Oh, I was 10-time All-Star. But if you're not gonna go play, or at least think about playing, then why be on the ballot?
Right.
So I think that's where we're at. That's why I wanted to bring it up. It's like you're kind of hurting other players and the growing game. If you're a big name guy and you just don't want to go play, like Correa or Altuve, Mookie Betts, just for you don't want to go play, that's okay. But tell somebody.
Right. Yeah.
So you get these guys dropping out. It's just they still want the All-Star game accolade. It's just fans only get not that they only get a certain amount of votes. They do only get a certain amount, but you do get a lot. But you would vote for someone else or more deserving guy or whatever it is, and that's just it's a shame to see some guys drop out just for the idea of opting out. Especially because most teams, the Yankees and the Red Sox, are the only team to only get 3 days off. Most teams are going to get 4 days off. So I don't know. I think also it has a big thing to do with how the game's not impactful for the World Series, which has changed it.
That's true.
But also in the past, players wanted to be in the All-Star game because you were playing with the best players, and then you could try showing off and beating them. So I don't think that's as much as the case anymore. As much as like it is an expedition game, go out and have fun and show up and enjoy your buddies you made along the way. When back in the day, it was like I still want to win, I still got to win, and I'm gonna hate you until the game's over. So that's a change, and then it's change in all sports really, for the good or the bad. But
Yeah.
I think that's a big part too, why people are opting out. It's like there's no point in me going to play.
Yeah. Plus, I wonder, to the point you brought up with why wouldn't you just, realistically, you're not going to play in the All-Star game. Why not just say, hey, I'm not going to be playing, so put someone else in there that's going to play and probably deserves to play. I wonder, too, contracts have a lot of incentives. Say, guy makes an All-Star game. He don't say nothing. He makes the All-Star game even though he had no real intention of playing it. So he gets an extra bonus in his contract, Or the team has, obviously they want more All-Stars, whether they're playing or not. It's just to say, hey, we had 5 All-Stars on our team.
Yeah, or sell the All-Star jerseys or whatever they want to do with them.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's stuff behind the scenes that makes sense that we don't really know about. I'm sure that plays a factor into it. It's just weird. You would think a lot of guys would just want to, even if they don't play or something, they just be there. And there's guys move around teams so much. There's a lot of camaraderie with ball players. They all know each other. They probably hang out, golf together, whatever. Even if they're on different teams. So it's just weird to me that a lot of guys would opt out of it. It just seems like a really cool weekend and a really cool chance, unless you're a really like high level guy like a Mike Trout or like an Aaron Judge or Xander Bogaerts, a guy that's there every year. It could be like one of your maybe like 1, 2, 3 chances to be there. It's just
But
so
it's a shame because you got a guy if Trout was healthy, like Adam Frazier,
mm-hmm.
he ain't seen Trout much. It'd be great to go be in a game with Trout or go see him and how it was back in the day. Guys were just like who is this guy's bigger than life, and I get to go meet him and be in the locker room with him and hang out with him for a couple days.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of miss that with some younger guys like Vlad and guys like that. You don't get that like boy this is a guy.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's true.
Also, it takes away from it's not for nothing, but what was it, 98 or 99 All-Star game, 99?
Yeah, 99 with that
it's the greatest
Fenway.
All-Star game of all time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You didn't have no one opt out then.
No.
And it would be great to have another moment like that. We have all the best guys there, but if you're gonna opt out, it takes away from that. So, it is what it is. But I hope that we don't continue to see opt out all the time, because then you will get, a lot of guys making All-Star games who their stats don't really make sense because you had 17 catchers drop out.
Yeah.
Well, now you got back end guys making the All-Star game.
Yeah.
So, we'll see. I think it might just be a 1 year off kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope it doesn't. It's not a trend that continues, because I like seeing, even if we've talked a lot about how we don't like guys that just, if they're a name, they make the All-Star team. I don't like that, or if they start it. But it kind of gives an opportunity for a guy that is really good every year, like you said, maybe a veteran presence that's there, that young guys will only maybe get to talk to once or twice in their career. They miss out on that. It's just I don't know. It seems almost not disrespectful, but it seems like you don't care about in some ways to some players, depending on how they do it. It seems like you don't care that you're an all-star, that you don't care to go, you don't care to be around your other, your fellow ball players. Not that every player is like that, nor even many. It's just, some guys do it in a way that you kind of wonder if they're just like, I'm better than that, so I don't need to be there. So you never know what maybe ulterior motives people have and in their decision making, but it's just cool to see. We do have most of the guys there starting and a lot of the big stars of the game. So at the end of the day, I guess it's all right. But with that, on to our next two pieces of news that center around the All-Star game and All-Star week. So number 2 in the news, Ohtani, again, is a big piece of news. Shohei Ohtani is actually starting the All-Star game as the starting pitcher, and he is batting leadoff for the American League. Obviously, like we said, this episode goes up a day after the All-Star game. We're recording it a day before the All-Star game. But just the prospect of seeing the same player start on like both sides of the ball for the All-Star game is pretty historic, and I think it's really cool that we have a player like that in the league, and he's playing at this level this year. Obviously, he's gonna go up against Scherzer. So you have Ohtani versus Scherzer. It's a pretty good matchup. Scherzer's no stranger to the All-Star game, obviously. I don't think he's a stranger to starting the All-Star game. I think he's done it, maybe this is like his 3rd time or something. I don't even know.
Something like that. I'm not sure exactly.
So yeah, just cool stat with Ohtani facing off against a big-time pitcher. So it'll be great to see, and like I said, when this goes up, you'll have already seen it, but we're all really excited about it. Number 3, and probably my favorite part of the whole All-Star break, the All-Star week, is the Home Run Derby. Tonight, as of recording this episode, the Home Run Derby will see Shohei Ohtani face off against Juan Soto, Joey Gallo versus Trevor Story, Matt Olson versus Trey Mancini, and Salvador Perez facing off against Pete Alonso, the defending champ. Again, you would have already seen who's won. This is going to be a little bit... I'm going to throw my predictions out here. Me personally, I think the Derby is the most exciting All-Star event in sports. I think next closest is probably the dunk contest. I think for a lot of people that's big too. Shootout and all the basketball stuff. But I'm going to offer some of my predictions here. So in the first round, I don't know how they do it, but I'm just going to say for my sake, the first round, Juan Soto versus Shohei Ohtani. I'm going Juan Soto. I know that's like pretty ridiculous. I know people are like, well, that's just doesn't make any sense. But I think Juan Soto is such a pure hitter. I think that he can beat Ohtani. And that's my big upset. I think that Ohtani easily could win it all. I think any of these guys really could win it all. But I think that Juan Soto is such a pure hitter. I think that he could really just put balls out and people will be surprised. He may not crush the ball like Ohtani or some of these other guys, but I think he can just poke it over the wall anywhere he wants, any time he wants. So I actually am going with Juan Soto over Ohtani. Number 2, I got Joey Gallo over Trevor Story. Trevor Story being the hometown guy, I could easily see him advancing. I don't really see him winning it, but I could see him definitely beating Joey Gallo. But I think the tear that Joey Gallo's been on and just his ability to hit home runs in a home run derby is just, I think, gives him such an advantage. Number 3, I have Matt Olson over Trey Mancini. I love Trey Mancini, but Matt Olson's just an absolute crusher, and I think that I think that might be one of your more lopsided rounds. And then finally, I have Pete Alonso over Salvador Perez. Defending champs, just got a lot of power. I think Salvador Perez does too, but Alonso's just really a pure power hitter. Then in the second round, I have Juan Soto beating Pete Alonso. Again, I just think that Juan Soto is really just going to surprise people. Again, not that Alonso, like I said with Ohtani, not that there are any pushovers. I just think Juan Soto's just such a really good pure hitter. I think he'll do a good job. And then on the other side of the bracket, I have Matt Olson beating Joey Gallo. Really, I think that's probably your juggernaut match. Matt Olson versus Joey Gallo is like a match made in heaven for home run hitters. But I do think that Matt Olson just has a better overall swing than Gallo. Gallo has the home run swing, but Matt Olson's just a better hitter overall. And I think that'll shine through for that round. Then finally, my overall final round is going to be Matt Olson versus Juan Soto. And while I think that Juan Soto puts on a show, I think that Matt Olson ultimately comes out on top. And I think that Matt Olson provides some of the most stellar home runs in the whole show. I think that between him, Joey Gallo, and I think maybe your other guy is Ohtani or Trevor Story putting up the biggest show. We've seen in the past guys didn't necessarily win, like a Josh Hamilton, but put on the best show. Vlad Guerrero, 2019, junior. People don't forget those performances. You almost forget that Justin Morneau won that Josh Hamilton Derby, so I could see that happening with some of these guys, but I have Matt Olson winning it all. I think he's just best built for this home run derby here. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I think Ohtani in the first round. Ohtani had beat Soto. I just think he'll be able to edge that out. I do think I believe I did end up picking Gallo in a bracket for him to beat Story, but I think to be honest, I really think Story's gonna win. I think the hometown guys always win the first round, so I think Story beats Gallo. You have Olson versus Trey Mancini. I believe Olson wins that. Just more of a power hitter, and that's my guy. And then you have Salvador Perez matching up against
Pete Alonso.
I think Pete Alonso win that. It just seems like he's built for hitting them high fly balls. But Salvador Perez is gonna surprise some people, I think. But I think Alonso edged that out, which would lead us with Matt Olson versus Trevor Story in the second round.
Well, did you already say you have Olson over Mancini, or just not?
No, I said
okay,
that.
I was gonna say.
yeah. So that would put Olson versus Story.
Yep.
I would believe Olson wins that. Hometown hero and gets you so far. And then Ohtani beats Alonso, which would be a great semifinal round, which would leave us with Matt Olson over, Matt Olson and Ohtani, and I got Matt Olson beating Ohtani. And, I think that'd be a great home run derby, and I just hope Matt Olson wins because he's a guy who really doesn't have a name in MLB much for some reason because he's maybe, with the A's or whatever. He's not a big market or, Matt Chapman's also there or whatever. So I think tonight will be a good night to get him kind of into the eyes of the MLB fans.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Matt Olson's just the best built, and hopefully he does get some more attention on the more general baseball fan. And I think that your best rounds, for sure, could be an Olson versus Ohtani, or like I said, an Olson versus Gallo. These really just juggernauts of power that we got in the league right now. So we'll see what happens. I'm really excited. Like I said, by the time you hear this, you're probably already like, well, Salvador Perez won or something weird. But we'll see. I'm excited.
Yeah, it should be good. Home run derby is always great to watch.
Absolutely.
So a little bit of news I want to throw out there. We have Pablo Lopez broke the record for most consecutive strikeouts to start a game. The record was 8. He had 9 yesterday, Sunday. We had the Rays last week combined for a team special achievement, I guess they call it. They had a no-hitter, combined no-hitter in a 7-inning game, so it's just that special achievement. We've seen that once already.
Yep.
And Dan Fletcher, currently on a 24-game hit streak, batting like 460-something, I believe, in that hit streak.
Unbelievable.
So he's really just tearing the cover off the ball. If that Angels team can get Trout back, they could definitely make a late push here or second half push for a wild card spot at the very least. So yeah, that's the little bit of news I want to throw out there. Other than we got the home run derby, an All-Star game, Futures game, Celebrity All-Star game, or Celebrity Softball game. So it's always a good couple days here to to see the big names in a little bit different atmosphere and different perspective.
Yeah, it's good to have it back. We didn't have it last year, so it's very good that we finally have it back, and we have fans and the whole nine. So to wrap up the news, we have our usual who's doing the best right now. So the Giants still own the best record in the league at 57-32. Dodgers are right behind them at 56-35. Over in the American League, the Astros and the Red Sox are tied for the best record at 55-36, with the White Sox right behind them at 54-35. So that's how the first half shakes out as far as your records. And your playoff leaders and division leaders specifically shake out as follows. In the AL East, Red Sox are your division leaders at the break. In the AL Central, it's the White Sox. In the AL West, it's the Astros. In the NL East, it's the Mets. In the NL Central, it's the Brewers. In the NL West, it's the Giants. Your two AL wildcard teams are the Rays and the A's, with the Rays hosting the game. And the NL wildcard is the Dodgers and the Padres. It would be one hell of a game at Dodgers. So that's how your first half shakes out as far as what you're looking at as far as playoff, possible overlook, and your division people. So if you told me the Giants have the best record in the whole league at the break, I don't even the Red Sox having the best record in the AL, I just don't.
Yeah, hold your breath on the Giants still. So, yeah, some teams I want to mention have been hot of late. The White Sox, Astros, Angels, Phillies, Reds, and Giants. And some teams who have been struggling a bit here, going to a crucial part of the year coming up on the deadline. The Indians, the Orioles, the Royals, Nationals, and the Cubs. And those teams, especially Indians, Nats, and Cubs, they definitely have some big pieces that could be on the move here right before the deadline. So take a look out for them because there's big names on those teams that could be moved, Scherzer and Rizzo and guys like that. So those are the hot and cold teams I want to throw out there.
Yeah, the big team that came out and said and reported as being sellers is the Cubs. That was probably a big piece of news we missed there. So if you're a Cubs fan, I guess you're not really surprised, even though the team's performing. The team really, for the good part of the first half, was performing really well. So, but yeah, the Cubs are the really notable sellers here at the deadline, who kind of could have gone either way, and we'll see what happens from there. Let's move on to our segment, Who's Hot and Who's Not. We'll start with the hot players as we usually do. I have the 2 players of the week, as I usually try to have. Your first player of the week in the AL is David Fletcher, who over the last week batted .636 with a 1,000 slugging and a 1636 OPS. And even for him, 1,000 slugging, I mean, granted his average was .636, but still.
He had his first 2 home runs of the year this week. Actually, Saturday and Sunday, he had his first 2 home runs of the year.
There you go. So his slugging's up a little bit. He's just hitting the cover off the ball. Number 2, the NL player of the week is A.J. Pollock. Had a little bit of a surprise there because A.J. Pollock has been a little disappointing with the Dodgers as of his contract. But he batted .500 over the last week with a 1333 slugging and a 1905 OPS. So again, hitting the cover off the ball. Number 3, Brandon Crawford batted .600 over the last week with an 850 slugging and a 1441 OPS. A big reason that the Giants have been good this year. The hitting, guys like him and Posey and them have been hitting well. Number 4, Starlin Castro, 545 average over the last week with a 682 slugging and a 1242 OPS. And number 5, John Nagowski, batting .500 over the last week with a 582 slugging and 1122 OPS.
Yeah, those guys. I had a couple of them on my list here. Some guys that I want to throw on there or add to your list there. Paul Goldschmidt had a good go over here. Tim Anderson, who surprisingly made his first All-Star game. He was a replacement, but it's his first All-Star game after the last 3 years he's had. You'd think he would have made it.
Yeah, it's weird.
And Garrett Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Been playing good over the last 7 days or so. And some pitchers to look out for. Luis Castillo. Been pitching pretty good after the first month or so, month and a half of the year. He's been pitching good, but recently pitching good. Tony Gonsolin for the Dodgers, pitching good. Garrett Cole obviously went nuts on Saturday, 130 pitch complete game shutout. That was unbelievable. Wade Miley, he just seems to always pitch pretty well. Just doesn't dominate guys, he just gets outs.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake McGee for the Giants, pitching well. So those are some pitchers to look out for as well.
Yeah, that Garrett Cole start, man. That's a refreshing start for really any MLB pitcher to go that far and to want that game for your team. I mean, it's just you want that from any team in the league would want an ace like that, So
that's the way it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it's you still get that every once in a while. So, but when you're an ace, that's what you gotta do.
Yeah, that's I like to see. Like I said, if every team could have a guy like that, that's ideal. Have a guy that goes out there and says, "This is my game," and they refuse to come out. It's really cool to watch. So to move on to the cold players of the week, number 1, Nick Ahmed batted a .050 over the last week with a .050 slugging and a 145 OPS. Number 2, Whit Merrifield, a .050 average over the last week with a .050 slugging and a .141 OPS. Number 3, Gary Sanchez, after going on a complete tear, he's been ice cold. .095 average over the last week with a 238 slugging and a 478 OPS. Number 4, same boat, Starling Marte, went on an absolute tear for a while and has cooled off quite a bit. 100 average with a 100 slugging over the last week and a a 317 OPS. And number 5, George Springer, I guess having some troubles since coming back from the injured list. 105 average over the last week with a 105 slugging and a 255 OPS. So that's the cold players for the week.
Yeah, some guys I want to throw on there, add to that list. We had Tommy Edman, struggling late, and Chris Fraley for the Mariners. Two guys I just wanted to add to that. Some pitchers who have been struggling: Nathan Eovaldi, Framner Valdez. I always mess up this guy's Albert Alozle for the Cubs, the pitcher.
Oh, I don't know how to say his
He's
name.
not been pitching great.
Yeah.
Eric Fetty and Josh Hader actually got beat up a little bit in his last couple outings. There's some guys to take note of on the pitcher side who have been struggling. And then to get into, our second to last thing of each episode is the injuries. The list is relatively short on the bad side, but we have one real bad one. But other than that, I mean, it was actually a relatively good week in that aspect. We have Manuel Margot placed on the IL. We then had Sonny Gray placed on the IL. Ryan Weathers, Yu Darvish, Aaron Nola placed on the COVID IL. Alec Bowen placed on the COVID IL. And then we had Ronald Acuna placed on the 60-day IL with a complete tear of his ACL. And he'll be out 9 to 10 months. And that is quite a shame for a Braves team who was still trying to keep in with the playoff run, win a division, go deep into the playoffs. Even next year, they're looking at him to have a late start. So it's just a terrible break for one of the top 3 or 4 best players in all the league and one of the biggest faces of the game.
Yeah.
So that's a shame that we see that. And then especially for all the people who have him in fantasy, as I did, that's really not good. So that was our big blow this week. But otherwise, the injuries were relatively short list here. And you got guys like Sonny Gray, who it's a very minor injury, and Nola and Bomer on the COVID, which is more precautionary than it was. They actually had it, so that's relatively good news. And on the good side of the injury news, we had Freddie Galvis progressing, Chris Sale continuing to progress. They say eye-popping in his bullpen sessions. Severino and Kluber are closing in on getting back to the mound. More Severino than Kluber, but they're getting better. Shane Bieber progressing as well.
Okay.
Eloy Jimenez in a rehab assignment in AAA, just got called up to AAA, so he'll be back probably 2-3 weeks. He'll be back, which is a lot faster than they thought. The Angels overall getting healthy. Justin Upton progressing. Rendon, who was placed on the IL again last week, is progressing. Mike Trout, obviously our biggest star, progressing. So if we lose Acuna, we at least need to get Trout back ASAP.
Yeah, sure.
Carrasco for the Mets, we haven't seen all year, is actually throwing to live hitters and starting to look pretty good and feel pretty good. We have Jordan Hicks for the Cardinals, Miles Mikolas for the Cardinals. They are getting back on the mound work and getting closer. Zach Gallen, who's placed in the IL a couple times now this year, young superstar or young talented pitcher for the Diamondbacks. He's starting to throw again and get back going here. And then Mike Moustakas still feels some pain in his, I believe it was his heel, so he's still feeling some pain. But overall, they feel that he is slowly progressing, but he does feel some pain. So we're still, that's jury's still out there for Mike Moustakas. But yeah, overall, I think the injuries, this was a relatively good week, other than Acuna. If you take Acuna out, his injury, I mean, this was a great week for the injury news. Lots of minor, small things, and a lot of updates on the bigger players.
Yeah, that really, really stunk with Acuna. And you probably won't see him at the start of next year. You probably won't see him. I mean, if he really rushes and does well, late April, May. If he does really well in his recovery, but realistically, May. And if he has some setbacks or a setback, you could see June. But I don't think it'll be that bad. But that one really stung because it's an ACL and that you're out for the year. Doesn't matter,
Yeah,
So
complete tear of it. Hopefully he can come back and be, it doesn't affect him. That's the thing you got to worry about too. Hopefully it doesn't affect him, speed-wise or fielding-wise or, feeling comfortable, power, or being as aggressive as he was. That could slow his whole game down. So hopefully he comes back and he's the same player or very, very, very similar player as he was. But yeah, just a shame.
yeah, absolutely. That one, again, he's one of the stars of the game. That's really not great.
Yeah. So our last bit here, As we always do, the trivia question. So we're at the All-Star break, All-Star game, Home Run Derby. So I wanted to keep it relevant to that. So the trivia question is, who has the most RBIs pre-All-Star break in MLB history? And the first All-Star game was 1933. So you can imagine it's from 1933 on. And the record is Hank Greenberg in 1935 for the Detroit Tigers, Lions. He had 103 RBIs in 76 games leading up to the All-Star break. He ended up finishing that season with 170 RBIs.
Jesus.
Second on that list is Juan Gonzalez in 1998 for the Texas Rangers. He had 101 RBIs in 87 games and ended up with 157 RBIs in a full season. So, but the trivia question, most RBIs pre-All-Star break, is Hank Greenberg with 103 in 1935, which is just incredible because the record's, I believe, 191, Hack Wilson. And in 76 games, Greenberg had 103. And back then they played 154 games. You double his 76 games, it's 152 games. So that's about the full, just about the full season. He puts him on pace for 206 RBIs.
Yep. It's insane.
So it's just incredible.
If he just stays on pace.
If he just does what he just did.
He blows it out of the water almost, with 15 more RBIs or whatever it is.
Yeah. So that's incredible. It's just incredible to have that many RBIs in a 76 game span. I mean, if he just does all right.
Yeah.
He could not have another RBI, and it's a great season.
Yeah, really. For real.
Or he puts up a low season, a low second half. He has like 20, 30. Very low second half. He's got 130 RBIs. That's incredible.
Yeah, that is an incredible season.
Just about every year.
Yep.
So that's just incredible stat to see.
Almost unheard of, anymore. To have something like that.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. That's why I wanted to bring that one up.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good one. I really thought it was Juan Gonzalez. I remember seeing that stat that he had over 100 at the break. I'm like, well, that's got to be the record. But yeah, I guess Hank Greenberg, old guys.
I remember seeing, I think it was 2000 or 98 or one of them All-Star games. He had like Darren Erstad. I think he had like 96 or 92 at the All-Star break, and he was a guy who really more towards the top of the lineup. Two-hitter, something like that. And he had like 96 RBIs at the All-Star break for the Angels one year, and I was like, that's incredible.
It's making the most out of just about any opportunity that you get, in the lineup. It's crazy.
Yeah. And then hitting home runs, scoring yourself as well.
Yeah, true.
So.
It's amazing. We have some guys in the league now that have put up a lot of RBIs, a lot of home runs. Look at Ohtani. He's got 31 or something like that.
He's got 33 or something at this point.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I can't even keep up. So, yeah, guys with some kind of cool stats this year, too. So, it's not like it's unheard of. It's just something like that is, I can't even imagine, I don't even know the last highest, like 130 RBI season was,
Well, I think we ended up getting him. Jose Abreu, I think, had like 129. 2019.
Yeah, Adrian Gonzalez used to get him a lot. He used to have high RBI seasons.
But that's, full season. You ended up 120s, 130. That's a great season. This is 103 in half a season.
Yeah, and half that time, yeah.
So you put up as a normal season, normal second half, that's like 40, 50. You're putting up 150 RBIs. That's a normal. So if you had a down second half, you're putting up 20, 30 RBIs. You still had 130. You're still leading the league.
Yeah, by probably a lot at that point, with how seasons go anymore. So, pretty good. But yeah, that's a good trivia question. It fits obviously with the All-Star thing we got going on here, the All-Star week. And I'm excited to watch the Home Run Derby. By the time you hear this, you'll already know who the winner was. You'll know the winner of the All-Star game and everything, and we'll already be looking forward to the trade deadline. So, but as of right now, we're going to enjoy this. And all baseball fans, even if you're a moderate baseball fan, I feel like the Home Run Derby's fun for you, So yeah, it'll be on here in close to an hour, about 45 minutes it'll be on.
Yeah. And not for nothing, but this is where everyone always wanted it, Colorado.
Yeah. So, you can really see some.
And you got a lot of the big names that everyone always wanted. You got Ohtani, you got Gallo, you got Alonso, Story. Maybe a guy that people want to see. Olsen's a guy that he should be in there.
Yeah.
But I don't think he gets quite the recognition he will after tonight. I hope.
Agreed.
So it should be a good show. Then you got the All-Star game tomorrow. I think the AL wins the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Just looking at the NL roster or lineup. I mean, obviously they're both great. I just feel like the AL maybe has a slight upper hand. I don't know. I just thought the lineup flowed nicer.
Yeah, the AL I think generally does have, at least historically, especially in the last like 20 years or so, the AL has a big advantage in the record. So I mean, I think you're right there.
Yeah, I
I
think the
agree.
AL wins it, and I think it'd be like 5-3
Yeah,
AL.
something. Yeah,
And if as long as Otani doesn't give up a run in his first inning or two, and maybe gets a hit, he's MVP. That's just locked in.
yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, yeah, as
But
long as he doesn't really f up, you know.
yeah, he'll be locked in there.
Mhm.
But yeah, excited to see some of the guys that you don't see. Much Adam Frazier get his chance, and Olsen to get in there, and some pitchers, some bullpen guys, and so should be exciting to see. And just I always like seeing those guys get in there and get their chances, and you show their stats for the year. And you got Adam Frazier batting 300. You're like, who the hell is this guy? And he's batting 300. He gets to show off a little bit. It's great for the game, and it's great for fans and everybody just to see different people and just see how much talent there is, or just even some of these guys. Some of these guys are never going to be here again.
Yeah, yeah,
It just shows
absolutely.
you how good you could be that one year, or how locked in you could be even for that one half year.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
I was locked in that one half year. I was all star.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
only, I know guys opting out and stuff. There's like 30 a team or something like that.
Yeah.
But still, in the grand scheme of things, you got to remember you got 27 guys, 26 guys on the active roster for every team, 30 teams.
Yeah.
It's a lot of players.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Absolutely.
Plus the guys that get up and down and injured and stuff like that. There's a lot of players for you to be, one of after opt outs and stuff, 60, 70 guys.
It's an honor. Should be an honor.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Especially when you look out and every position's got big names at it.
Yeah, big time.
Tuve and Trout and Acuna and Donnie and Alonso. You got so many superstars, like 6, 7, 8, 9 of them at each position.
Yeah. It's
You
hard.
to crack into that for a year or break into that and be a guy who kind of stole a spot is incredible.
Yeah. Agreed. They should be very proud, and I'm sure they are, a lot of them. So,
Yeah.
good for them. I can't wait to watch. And hopefully, may the best league win and may the best man win for the home run derby.
Yeah.
So let's see how our predictions go when this
I'm
goes
hoping
live.
for Matt Olson. I love Matt Olson.
Me too.
I
think
hope he puts on a good show, just so people hey, they know this guy. I feel like he doesn't get quite the recognition. So I think if he puts on a good show, he'll put a good show for Oakland, for the A's and their team, but also for himself.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good show regardless because there's a lot of good. I think this is one of the better home run derbies we've had as far as just the talent field that's out there. I think this is going to be really fun. And it always is, but I really do think this year is going to be really good.
Yeah.
I have that feeling. So, with that, that's kind of all I have this week. Next week will come with, I'm sure there will be trade deadline rumors starting to spiral, and there will be more baseball. We'll start looking forward to. This is when you start looking at the standings, really looking at the standings. So, got a lot to look forward to in baseball, but that's kind of all I got for this episode.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I believe it was Bill Parcells. You are what your record says you are.
Mm-hmm.
We're at the part of the year where you are. You're a month in, 2 months in. You get even before the All-Star break, you get a hot little bit, change your record. But by the All-Star break, halfway through the season, you kind of you are what your record are. That year you're only so good. And teams get hot and teams get cold, and that changes. But for the most part, you are that.
Yeah. Yep.
When you break it all down, that's what you are. Other than a hot streak or a cold streak here or there, if you're a 500 team at the All-Star break, you're pretty much a 500 team the whole year.
Yep. And there's a lot of teams that have to do a lot of inward looking at this point. So we'll see what happens the rest of the year. The second half can cause a lot of mayhem too. So you never know.
Especially these All-Star games, you never know. You got a guy like Adam Frazier walks in that locker room and he walks over there and he's talking to, who knows who he's talking to. He's talking to the Mets or something. He's like, hey, you know what? You guys need someone?
Yeah. Plants a little seed,
Yeah, because then all of a sudden he's going to talk to, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
You never know. If someone comes to the AL and is talking to Otani, it's like, hey, you guys really need to trade for somebody? I'm out there.
Mm-hmm.
And Otani goes to the Angels, is like, hey, we should go get this guy. They're gonna give it hell to go get him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So you never know how these conversations go and what could change. All of a sudden they become best friends, and there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So it's we'll see. There's always intriguing things and always small things you always can think about. Stuff like this. You see with the NBA, guys say, hey, come trade for me, and actually get fined for it.
I was gonna say, yeah, they're the NBA is actually like, hey, I'll go play for you guys.
Yeah, and they get fined for it.
Yeah.
So you can see that there's what they call tampering.
Yeah,
so
the conversations definitely happen.
Yeah,
I can't imagine they don't.
Yeah, you're a big guy on that team, and you go tell them to go try it. They're gonna give it hell to go get them.
Sure.
So
yeah,
it's just a crazy time, and all of a sudden a couple blockbuster trades get made or a big guy gets traded and things get crazy.
Yeah. Yep. So we look forward to the second half, and like I said, that's kind of all I got. So if that's all you got too, then I guess we'll wrap this one up.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening. You can catch this podcast on Google Podcasts as well as Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can listen on our regularly updated YouTube channel as well as our website, screwball.podbean.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Real Mike Lepre. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Lepre.
And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at FDubs10.
You can follow our official Screwball Twitter at ScrewballPod. You can follow our official Screwball Facebook at ScrewballPod. No E in Screw. And that's it from us, guys. We'll see you next week.
Yep, take care.